everybody, and welcome to the First Impressions Facilities Impact Your Growth workshop. And we'll start with a word of prayer in just a second. The mic does feel overkill for this number of people, but we're still recording, so that's why. This amount of people, you don't need a mic. If you have people in the second row, you need a mic, right? Do I need a mic? Yes, you do. Okay. Always.
Also, say something about hospitality. I had somebody who's a hearing impaired kind of interim pastor, and she always used the mic because she said you never know. That's right. So I always use it.
Yeah. That's right. So, awesome. All right, well, good morning again, and I've had the pleasure of meeting everybody, so we'll skip that part. Which is like, don't do what I do today, make sure you welcome everybody, say hello. For those of you who are newer, welcome to Park Ridge Presbyterian Church, like that's the thing, So let's say a prayer and we'll jump in. God, we thank you so much for this morning and this chance we've had to be together these days. And we ask you to continue to speak to us and help us to understand the responsibility we have over stewardship and safety and strategy when it comes to our facilities. We pray this in your name. Amen. Well, in case you have questions, I want to start by giving you a few minutes to ponder if you have questions you want to try to answer today together about facilities and about the impact that has on your capacity to grow and also nuts and bolts around those kinds of things. So. And let's make sure we get those on the table to start. And so, did anybody come in with any questions that they're like, I'm here today to talk about this? Yeah, Ross.
So, unless you are fortunate enough to have a major building fire or something, you're stuck in many ways with the architectural layout. Ours is somewhat labyrinthine. We have a lot of signs and everything, but it still is galling all the time. Anytime we have a wedding, anytime we have a funeral, anytime we have visitors, it's just the same questions answered over and over again.
Yeah.
With fire codes and everything, it just to fix the architectural issues so the layout makes sense would be like, just completely financially conceivable at this point. So, at least as far as I've approached the problem, maybe there's something I haven't thought of. But,
That's a real common problem. That's a real common problem. A little warm already. I count myself super blessed that we don't have those problems in many ways on our main level. So, and there's one of our neighboring churches, a UCC affiliated, does. So, and I've been in many that do, right? So we'll see what we can talk about that. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah, Dave.
I don't know if it'll get covered, and if it doesn't, it's okay. But I'm just curious what other people might be doing. You mentioned safety.
Safety is a big deal. Yeah.
In the Twin Cities, we just had the recent shooting at the Catholic school and church, and so we have a preschool, and we've got some parents that are freaking out because of it.
Rightly so. Yeah.
So just safety day to day, but also safety Sunday mornings, things like that.
Not specifically because it's so specific to your church. But we just launched a safety and security task force at our church that's going to look at all phases. And we have the same thing. We have a preschool like here, and we go from a closed secure campus Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30. We have to buzz everybody in. We've got security cameras, and then on the weekends, open campus. I know that they're going to talk about whether we need a security presence on Sunday morning. Park Ridge, Illinois is like a Pleasantville type area, and so that doesn't mean it can't happen anywhere, of course, but it's also, we have, our police aren't overwhelmed, and they're collaborative, and they have a social worker on their team, and so and that's all from a mental health initiative that the city had before I got there. So those who have get more resources. It's the problem. Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump in a little further. Oh, that's my family. If you weren't in my first workshop, my wife Laura is an artist. She's our secret weapon when it comes to facilities. She's our lead designer, lead stager, and lead painter. And actually, I don't even have a picture of the best room she did, the Eagle's Nest, our youth room, but we're super lucky. Just to keep us front and center, this is still all about helping people grow in their faith, and then helping our churches grow in numbers. And so we're going to qualify that a little bit. One of my favorite quotes right now is this one from James Clear: "You do not rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems." And facilities are a system. They're a part of your ministry, but if you don't attend to them, they can be a part of your limiting factor of your growth. There's stages of that, but it can be both the beginning limiter or the end limiter. And sometimes, we'll talk about this also, they correlate to your capacity to grow to the upper end of whatever size you're in. So this comes from James Clear, Atomic Habits. I was first introduced to this quote in Brené Brown's podcast, and she continues to quote him. And so I say, if Brené Brown quotes you, then pay attention. Part of why this is so important is culture creates space, and space creates culture. And even if you don't know this in your head, you know this intuitively. You know the places you like to be in. You know the restaurants you like to go back to. You know the coffee shops that you like to go to. Some have comfortable chairs, some don't. Some have hospitable staff. Some are trying to move you along. Some are Starbucks, and they went back and forth. And you're like, do you want me here, or do you not want me here? And we move forward. But it's important to remember that this is a mutual circle on the culture as well. And that includes guests and visitors, that includes longtime members, that includes staff and leaders and pastors. It's everybody. Because if you don't want to be in your church building, then they don't either. Now, the church needs to get out of the building, but also it's one of our biggest tools for ministry as well. And I don't know about you, but as a pastor, I spend quite a bit of time on facility matters. Now, I finally have an outstanding facility manager. And so I'm spending less time on the day-to-day, but we ran a capital campaign last year, and we're starting construction on Monday on some big drainage projects. Got a great team, but guess who's the backup if something goes wrong? This guy. So you got to know what's going on. It's also true, it's not an if you build it, they will come world. That's Field of Dreams, and that is still true there. But your building might give them a reason to not come back. And that's something you can control. And a lot of the things are solvable. Some, like Ross is alluding to, are harder to solve as well. This goes back to the whole reality that you have somewhere between 60 seconds and 10 minutes, depending on the person and their level of discernment, to help them decide to come back. I said this yesterday about worship. It's the same true about the facility and hospitality. These are all interrelated, right? And so you want to make sure that you are doing everything you can to make sure that they have a positive experience. We're going to talk about how this interplays with strategy and fundraising and working with high-capacity leaders as well, because that's a part of this as well. So again, first impressions and a lasting impact. That's the thing, and what we want to do is we want the building and the experience to be something that is adding to their spiritual transformation, not taking away or hindering it, or being like, I can't get over it as well. Like I said, this is about stewardship. It is about safety, and safety can be physical safety. It can be emotional safety. It's spiritual safety as well. But also, we want to think about this in terms of the stewardship piece. This is a place where we spend a lot of money and a lot of time. It also can be a place of great stuckness for churches as well, and so it can be a big part of your strategy and strategy issues as well. One of the conundrums is with the amount of time and energy we put into our buildings, sometimes congregations can get over-focused, of course, on their buildings and have done a great job of shining the apple. The apple's rotten at the core. So, you can't put lipstick on a pig, but you can paint a wall and make a difference. The other thing about this is we need to remember is that if you cast a vision, in time, it will lead to funds if your congregation is in a place where changing the facility will change the course of your ministry. So if a church is moving towards the latter stages of their life cycle, if they need a complete reboot, revitalization, then working on the facility should come later. You got to start with leadership at that point. If they're a candidate for a merger, of course they shouldn't spend money on their building. And if they're actually a candidate for closure, a resurrection, then they should not spend any money on their building because they need to sell the building and put those funds towards the future of another church. That takes courageous leadership by the pastors, the presbytery, the people that do that. But we've been seeing it in Chicago. Now in Chicago, we have the advantage, like a lot of these areas, of high property values, and people like the idea of selling their property and generating $1.2 to $3 million for the sake of the kingdom. That's pretty great, especially when in our presbytery, the money goes to our new church developments and our new worshiping communities. Also supports revitalization efforts as well. So that's, if it's going to go just to support, like Jerry was saying, if it's going to go just to support the bottom line of the presbytery, that's not a compelling vision. No one wants to die to support a dying institution. Oh, we're all like, this is on the internet. Oh my goodness. A couple of people from National would be like, Josh, you just say the things out loud that people are saying in their heads. And I'm like, that's called leadership. But we move on. So, all right. I said that already. Your facilities matter. All right. 10 areas of church spaces that works. Oh, you want me to go back? Okay, you got it. Oh, you're quick. Quicker than me. All right. The 10 areas of church spaces to consider. This is on your handout. The parking lot, your entrance, gathering welcome space, worship space, fellowship spaces, next-gen children and youth spaces, meeting spaces, staff offices. Don't sleep on that one. I did for my associate, and she's letting me know about it. Storage space and outdoor space. 10 areas you can focus on. And we're going to get to more of this, but you'll see on the bottom of the handout, there are levels of updates that you can make that range from free to very expensive. Okay? Want to say quickly that in my particular context, Park Ridge Presbyterian Church, we are a top-level community with all the resources. We have a lot going for us. But want to also tell you that our revitalization journey is a 20-year story. 10 years of that did not include me. 20 years ago, they welcomed a community preschool into the building to be a strategic partner. And they rent from us. It's actually a profit-sharing agreement. This is sort of public information, but no one's going to watch this from the preschool. But anyways, so they started their journey 10 years before I got there. That was the beginning of the adjustment of their relationship to the building as a tool and a resource for ministry, as opposed to just a home base for members. I came 10 years ago. At the same time, we received a $2 million estate gift that we turned into our investment portfolio, and we get a return on that. And because of our facility, which includes 130 parking spots, which is crazy for almost everybody, we have things going for us that other churches don't. That also is allowing us to launch an event rental business in order to create another revenue stream. And yes, that's non-taxable income because it relates to our ministry. It's essential to our funding. What we do with that is vital for what we're doing. So All of these things, you're going to see some pictures in a minute of some of our spaces, progressively changed over the last 10 years, but started with, we had a huge head start. I will tell you that when I was going there, I knew that we found out about this estate gift. It was a $2 million unrestricted estate gift. Somebody's got to suffer for the gospel. It'll be me in Park Ridge, okay? We found out about it between my first and second interview, okay? And I talked with the PNC at the time. I was like, pretty sure we're going to have different questions now for my second interview than you had planned, because all of a sudden they were wondering, what do you do with $2 million? And I said, to start, you put it in the bank and get some money going from it. And they were like, that's the correct answer, Pastor. You can come. All right. Basic rules for church spaces. This is not in your handout. We are going to make all the handouts and all the slides available. But the basic rules are this. They need to be clean. They need to be tidy. They need to be organized. You want soft white lighting unless it's a task area. You need great signage, and it has to be safe for children. All right? Hi. You're welcome. Oh, sorry, yep. Yep. An almost free thing is making sure you have outlet covers. Both the covers on the outlets like they have here and also the plugs for the outlets. That's almost free. If you have electrical outlets that are loose, you need an electrician to come get them and fix them. Some of them might just need a little tighten of the screwdriver and the bracket, but it's a good example of a small thing that's vital for safety for kids, functioning for adults and their safety, and also it's fire prevention. Okay? Clean, it's got to be the cleanest it can be. Sometimes fixtures and furnishings and flooring in churches are in such disrepair that they're clean, but they look dirty. That's a problem. That's a renovation issue. But sometimes things are really just dirty. Okay? Tidy, you can't keep stuff that is related to organized. You can't keep stuff all over. You need to have it organized, tidy, cleaned up. Have a system, have a process with that. Some people don't care. Some people really care. It's like preparing for guests at your house, right? Some of us use that as an excuse to go all the way and make sure it's clean. Some of us also have kids that are being like, this is not how we live. And we're like, of course it isn't. But it is how we want to have our stuff on Sunday morning. The other thing about organized, and we're talking about this with storage spaces especially, is that validates volunteers. Because when your storage and when your equipment is organized, it makes it more simple for them to volunteer and lead. Not easy. Goal's not easy. There's no easy button. But we do want it to be simple. Not tripping over stuff in the janitor closet for the good person that's going to get the mop. Not wondering where's the cleaning product or where are the extra paper towels. Where's the extra garbage bag? Because either, Pastor, you're going to need to take out the garbage, right? Or your super volunteer is going to. All right? It's a bad luck if you go first, if you don't know where the garbage bags are. And it's a bad luck if you don't have extra paper towels. Soft white lighting is important because that is welcoming. This is a bright white. This is a brighter white, but there's also natural light in here. Bright white is very, a lot of energy, and it feels just chaotic. If it's too soft, it feels sleepy. So a medium tone is really important in all your common spaces. For instance, we have soft white lighting in our sanctuary, our lounge, our lobby, and our family center, our fellowship hall. But we have bright white in the kitchen adjacent to the fellowship hall because you want bright whites in your kitchen. Okay. Yeah. Great signage is vital too. Okay. If you're not sure, bring in a secret shopper. Somebody from the network, somebody from a neighboring church. If you really want to feel good about yourself, ask the local non-denominational evangelical pastor to come and give you a facility audit. They'll have all kinds of thoughts about everything, but they actually also could be very helpful because the evangelical non-denominational world does a far, far better job with facilities than we do. Some of that's related to the fact that they're newer and younger churches. They have plenty of older people with money who are paying for these things, right? However, it's a higher value, generally speaking. And that is, like I said, as much to do with the fact that they're younger, newer churches as it does anything. And the fact that when you're an older institution, everything is a little harder, everything's a little more stuck, everything takes more momentum to get going as well. Additionally, strategically, they built less complex buildings. That's right, Ross was saying. Right. These are facts, right? But a secret shopper can be super helpful as well. There's quite a bit you can learn from a Google listing, Google for Street View about certain things as well. One thing Rich was pointing out as he was giving us a tour on Monday is in the East Coast, especially, in other places too, the parking lots are on the back side of the buildings because that's where the churches had land for pasture or whatever it was back in the day. But like here, it's built right up on the street. And if you've noticed, they've cultivated an entrance that's actually to the side of their sanctuary relative to that. I did not know this, with the history there, but it makes a lot of sense. It's also another immense privilege we have that our parking lot is literally across the street. It is across the street, but across the street from our main entrance. And I did appreciate that when I was coming. I appreciate that all the more 10 years later.
We don't even have only street parking.
Yeah, so my friends at the Episcopal Church down the block from us don't have any parking either. And their rectory, which is what they call it, is next door to their church. And so their rector, my friend Patrick, doesn't even experience the burden of this. He knows that he's a smart guy. Yeah, that's a big factor. And if you have no parking, then you have to focus on your immediate neighbors. And what's the travel radius that you guys talk about for your church?
7 miles. I know.
You may want, yeah. So blame the speaker at the conference. Okay, this is we're here for each other, right? Or right? Blame the speaker at the conference, and he said that's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah, but now you can blame me, okay? Because the speaker at the conference said this. It's
The guy next table did it too.
yeah, the guy, yeah, and everybody said amen. You're welcome. Yeah. So Beverly or Bev? Either one. Okay. Yeah.
The Senate staff is, our New Yorkers, we're used to walking everywhere. I'm like, maybe not anymore. Like you want to come home and relax, and you go to church, you don't want to stress getting there.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue to our first.
I've been sitting here thinking, I've made a note. Does Milburn allow golf carts on the neighborhood streets? Get a little trolley golf cart and go up and down the neighborhood streets and bring people to the front door.
Yeah.
Is there any off-site parking lot that you could use on a Sunday?
Well, right now we don't need it, but yes.
So
the
you always plan for what you want.
That's,
So if you could start advertising, we have off-site parking at this dentist's office that's not used on a Sunday, and we will transport you.
Yep.
Then you can start evangelizing to people who do not live in the neighborhood.
Right.
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's great. That's great.
Right on target. It's a CVS and actually
Right. Anyway, I'm just saying you can look at other options. Anyway.
No, that's great. That's exactly, right. It's a vital thing. And Beverly, you're an interim, correct? Right?
I get to say the arts.
Yeah. Right. Well, you can still try to keep your job for as long as you should have it. I know, interims are blessed people working themselves out of the job always. And we don't have enough good ones. So the fact that you're here says a lot. But this is a good example of something that you can leave a trail for them to follow when the next installed pastor comes and set that person up for success to not fight this fight from the beginning and right-size expectations Yeah. So it's really critical because, like Carrie Newhoff says, no one should outlocal the local church, but it's vital if you have no parking that you are hyper focused on probably a 7-block radius, not 7 miles. If you're lucky to be in your public transportation, you might get a little bump, but typically it's a very small one because we have to remember what we're talking about is the barrier to entry, right? And the higher the barrier to entry, the harder it is for people to come. And we start with a disadvantage of being Christians, right? Or organized religion. I don't know which one's worse, and these are the things that we work from on top of. So if you have a parking lot, then you need to make sure that it's safe, that there's no potholes. You need to patch those potholes. If you have big ones, you got to get a professional. If you have little ones, you can get quick patch from Home Depot or the hardware store and do it yourself. Okay, but it's
You can fill it in with rocks, river rocks.
yeah, you could.
As a sinkhole. And I keep saying, it's a sinkhole. They're like, no, we've been filling it in for years. I think that's the definition of a sinkhole.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to rewind a little.
No, please.
You made a comment that's very significant to the church I'm serving at. What's fascinating is they made originally the entryway out on the prominent corner, and then all the parking is in the back. It's public town parking. They actually come and park in the public town parking. So they come in from the back of the church, where the actual entrance, when a visitor would be coming, would be out in the front. So I was kind of I guess where my brain's going is how much do you invest in the two different, right? Because it's like your people come from the one entrance, but anybody who's new that doesn't know that they come through this like back door, they're gonna come to your front door. So making, like two people welcoming and,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's like how much,
right.
Where do you invest the most amount of resource and time? Because wanting to.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things you can do with that. The first is, I would actually guess that most of your visitors are coming in the same entrance because they're probably parking and following the people in. So, so that's the first thing. The second thing is you can put instructions on your website for their I'm planning a visit or I'm new here, whatever your website spot is for that, that directs people to park in the lot and then use whatever you're calling that side entrance. I would recommend calling that your main entrance and then using the one on the street as your sanctuary entrance. And then
We put a big welcome banner by our back entrance.
Yeah.
And we say, find the big welcome banner.
Yep. One of those flag signs would be great. They have one here for their kids check-in. If you drove up the other side, you can see just one of those banners, flag banners, that says welcome or main entrance or whatever. Another thing you can do is have arrows on the ground painting the direction into the building. But yeah, this is like, Adam and I know each other from seminary, and he's brand new to his call, months in, but he's from the area, so he's going to do great. But also, like, this was worth the $49 right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's been very appreciative, but I'm telling you right now that he just got his money's worth because he heard what Rich told me, and then I shared it here. And that's not something us Midwesterners would know about. So not quite, doesn't have the same impact. So we have the same problem in the urban areas, suburban areas, we can't buy parking either. Because I don't know about you, but I don't have an extra $1 million lying around to buy my neighbor's house. We work what we got. One thing that, go to Ross.
This is a random aside, but I did a bunch of research on this. So if you're filling in potholes, Popular Mechanics did a test of like 60 different kinds of pothole patches. If you don't have like a mixer and a torch kit, there's a brand called Aqua Fault. That's with a P8. It is decisively better than anything else on the market. Like it was the only thing that survived like a winter in Michigan in any sort of attack that, and it's not really any more expensive than any of the other ones. So I just thought I'd throw that out there if you have a thing to patch yourself.
Perfect. Yep.
PHALT, I just found.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, with a PH, yeah.
It's fat with a PH.
Yeah, Aqua Fault.
PHA,
Aqua Fault.
it's AQ.
AQUAPHALT, and they're on 6.0. And let's just say it's at Lowe's $65.48 for a big bucket. Let's see, I'm just seeing if it'll show. It's 50 pounds. You get a tamper, and it covers 5 square feet. Okay, so like, let's say you got a 10 square foot pothole. You can fill that in for $120. And 10 by 10, yeah, that's a big pothole. That's the size of. Now I don't know how deep that is. That's probably only so deep. But we're talking progress, right? And like what we're talking about is both aesthetic and safety. As well. So, parking lot math is something, sadly, most mainline Christians and leaders don't think about. On average, you get about two people per parking spot in your building. That nets out with the single people that come, that with the family of 4 or 5 that comes, right? But if you have a single person and a family of 4, that's 5 people in 2 spots. That's 2.5. Okay. If it can go up a little bit on holidays. It's a lot higher for weddings, but on your normal Sundays, it's about this. It can be lower, actually. The more parking you have, the bigger the church you are, probably, and so your average can go a little lower, but 2 is a good number to start with. Yeah, Dave?
You said you had 130 spots.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's good or bad?
I think that it's good because, it's good and bad. It's good because it means we can get 260 people into our building at one time, and that's children, youth, and adults. We don't do that ever on Sunday mornings, except for Easter. But it does mean that we don't have, our parking is not a growth lid for us on the front side, so that's why it's good. It's also, at times, it's a little, it does create a little bit of a woe is me because we don't fill our lot. And so there's that. The other thing is it's a great asset for our preschool and for our events. And so it creates a great opportunity for us. It also for us means that we can, because of the asset side of it, means that we get to pursue growth for the sake of the mission and not for the sake of survival first. I also want to survive. Entrance spaces and sequence, we talked a little bit about this before, so you want to put your guest and visitor head and hat on. Adam, take all the kinds of notes. Ross, you're still pretty new, I know also. Take all the notes you can while you're new, okay? Talk to the PNC people before they turn their backs on you, because that's going to happen too, fun fact. As well, but right now, write it all down. You've got fresh eyes. Anytime you have a new staff person, a new key leader, a young family that jumps all in, it does happen. Ask them, what do you think? Why'd you stay? Make sure you know these, but these things are related to all kinds of things, but especially you're going to find some of these things. I remember when I was first in our church, before we renovated our entrance a little bit, that I got stuck in our building with a stroller. So accessibility is just as important for people in wheelchairs and walkers and people with strollers. Blesses everybody. Is it intuitive? Is it clearly marked? It should be both, ideally. the less intuitive it is, the more you have to have it marked. And this is our main entrance. It's right across the street from our parking lot. We have these arched doors we have to contend with, and we put in new metal doors, and the doors themselves have lasted really well. The mechanics are difficult, but that's a different story. But it lets light in. And I remember the Sunday morning when I said, enough's enough. I'd been watching people struggle with it, but then I saw Jeff and Janice Butler, who are the nicest people you can imagine, also fairly good looking, stuck behind these wooden doors. They couldn't help people come in because they couldn't see them, and they were wasting their time as graders. You don't have to have automatic doors. Two of them, yes, this was an initial install picture. We do have a button. Interestingly, our building committee has struggled with the maintenance. I warned the session, I think maintenance is going to be an issue. They said, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. It was really great when one of them came back to me and said, boy, you were right, Josh. That didn't happen. Yeah, I know. I did have a weird dream last night. But also, part of it is that there's one of the rules in megachurches is no door stops and no automatic doors. Now, they do have automatic doors for day-to-day entrance, but on Sunday mornings, they open the door and hold the door open. I think that's could be, that's a big church trying to feel small, right? Big secret, all smaller churches, normal-sized churches are trying to act big. All big churches are trying to act small, okay? So, but it's 77 years old. Yeah, so no, it's not. No, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Historical buildings is a whole, I know about that. I've not experienced those challenges, but that's a big, that's a big issue. And again, so this is something I've been learning a lot about with this network is just how different the PCUSA is by region. And like I know, you know, right? But until you start to really get to know people broadly, because I primarily know people in the Northeast because I went to seminary here, and then have lived in the Midwest my entire life otherwise. Never been to Charlotte. Going to headquarters for the first time ever in November. So pray for me. But yeah, historic buildings, a whole different ballgame. Even if they're not actually a historic preservation, historic old buildings are a challenge. There's some good and some bad about them, but relative to maintenance and renovations.
Just when you were mentioning wood doors, I wish I could get rid of them.
So couple options with door. Obviously, doors are a big issue for a lot of us. I will take my blessings with the challenges because these are also, you can see one to the side here, are accompanied by the windows around our entire building. We have so much natural light, it's amazing. And actually, you know what else is great about all these windows? Very little room for bad art on the walls. We only got one problematic piece, and I finally moved it from the lobby to a side hallway. We call him Park Ridge Jesus. You're going to see him in a second. So, if you can't get rid of your wooden doors, make sure that the closers are new, the openers, because the closers and the openers and the hinges are what take the weight off of a door. So the ADA compliant doors have an 8-pound threshold. What that feels like is if you're fully functional, what it feels like is you take a gallon of milk, and the amount of effort that it takes to slide a gallon of milk across a counter is 8 pounds. This is ADA, okay? We all try to get there, do the best we can. Even if you can't hit ADA, you don't want it to be as difficult as lugging around a 40-pound bag of salt. Okay? Other thing you can do is even if you can't put in openers or closers or a new hardware, you can put a kickstand on a door. And now they have those that you can do with, not the bathroom kind where you can pull them out with your toes, but they have ones that are, you can use, they have a kickstand on them. You just step down on them, and then you can kick them to get them back up, okay? Don't get the kind with the rubber stopper that goes straight down. Get the kind that has a little leg kick on it. And then they have a little adjustable wheel on the bottom to make sure that it fits tight. We're going to be looking, and we are going to be, if we do these changes to our closers, we're going to be putting those on all 4 doors. We're going to have to find commercial ones, but just an example. Yeah, David, go.
Just be careful if you're putting that kickstand on one of your automatic doors, because somebody could leave that automatic door open, put a kickstand down, and then it just sits there and it burns out.
Yeah, we're going to get rid, if we do it, we're going to get rid of our automatic opener. Yeah. 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 All right, you're gathering. Yeah, you're gathering your welcome space. If there's one limitation that I've experienced in this building, it's that there's no immediate gathering space right off their entrance. You do what you got to do. Warmth is really about the people, but you want to set your people up for success as well. They set the tone for the rest of the visit as well. Here's what ours used to look like. There's Park Ridge Jesus. He's... Yeah, the couches. Yep. And oh my goodness, right? The lamps were broken. We only finally renovated this 2 years ago. Ian Bracco is not smoking a cigarette. He's about as crunchy as it comes. Yeah. So all kinds of problems. We can't digress into those. We're running on time here. But you can see that we renovated finally on the occasion of our 75th anniversary. This is what it looks like now. That's that same wall. This is where my wife is the lead designer. We build off the mid-century modern finishes of the sanctuary. And this was a custom build install. If there's one spot to splurge a little bit, it's in your lobby, your welcome center. They'll be in the slides. Yes, I got to tell you about what option you have about that in a minute. This is what the other part of it looks like. That's a TV. This was at Christmas. Yeah. Thank you. And what we decided to do here is we put walk-off carpet through the entire welcome area. That was a pricey decision, but it creates continuity and it makes the room feel so much bigger. Walk-off carpet? Walk-off carpet is what you put in an entrance area, and you'll see often in other spaces that transitions from walk-off carpet to regular carpet. What it means by walk-off carpet is it takes a certain amount of steps in order to knock off the dirt and the dust and the salt and the wet from your feet. And the more steps you have, the more it comes off.
The South the South, we don't know what it comes.
Sand. Do you have sand in the South? He's from the fake South. He's from DC metro area. Okay. Yeah, it's true. It is no. So he's right about some of that. But I was noticing today the ladies were mopping the tile floor in the entrance area because there's just not quite enough walk-off distance in there. I'm gonna send Rich my notes. He's gonna love it. All right, we gotta roll here. Worship spaces. Oh my goodness, so many things to say about that. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Hi, Carol. Yes, you'll get to see this. How does Laura Erickson work? Laura Erickson is always thinking about everything because she's amazing. That's my wife. She thinks about inspiration spaces, elements. And so just start screenshotting or saving spaces that you like. Pay attention to when you go into somewhere, how they laid it out. One of my most impressed spaces that I've ever walked into is the new Chase Bank branch near my house, or in my town. It's flawlessly built. It has all the things. It's like a master class on how to create a welcoming environment that's functional with private offices. It's just crazy. Don't be afraid to imitate. Okay? Don't need to talk too much about this here. Audio, video, lighting needs to be present and functional. Everybody's got to have good audio. You must have functional lighting. Okay? Video is 99% of the time is a must. 1% of churches can get away with no video. But they're big downtown churches that have Gothic cathedral style places that may or may not be able to actually functionally receive video.
And how do you find, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So the other end of that spectrum is a small rural church that was built in the 1800s. You're not going to bring in video. We can, but nobody likes.
You'd be surprised.
No, we've done it, and nobody likes.
Okay.
That's always the feedback I get. I'm sorry.
So,
Nobody likes it.
yeah, so let me just say, we thought that also. My church did. We did a pilot program, we did a survey, and then we did a whole summer of this. You know what the initial survey result was? 60% of the people wanted it to start. Just to say, loudest voice, opposition, just be careful. We all know this, but we got to remind ourselves of these things that, yeah, we're with you. We feel your pain.
Well, and I have the other end of the spectrum at my other church, where we have videos and everything.
Yeah, and you know what they said? They said, we're never going to have a screen in here. Okay? That's the front of our sanctuary. That's the back. There it is with a screen. There it is on Christmas. Those are cheap DJ lights that just that add the back wall color, the front wall color. Yeah. And then we have one screen because our front is asymmetrical. It's 120. No, it's bigger than that. It's like 160 inches diagonal, and it services the back of the room. However, I only put at the most is 40 words per slide. Most of them are 30 or less, and then it functions really well relative to the distances that people need to. Yeah, Ross.
Any of you seen that B-52 bomber meme from World War II online about that anecdote about the bomber coming back from the fire mission? If your church has been stagnant for a long time and hasn't had a lot of new members, the condition that my church has been in for a while. Of course, all the people that are there like it the way that it is, because everyone that didn't isn't there. And that is the other thing too, is it's hard to pull that group because they often, like in my congregation, some of them have endured 30, 40 years before, of it being the way that it was, with, lower quality bulletins and everything.
Okay, I'm also going to have to throw in, because then we're the anomaly, because we keep growing.
Okay, well then that's different. Then that's different.
So that's wonderful. That's great. That's great hope for other churches. Are you the installed pastor?
Yeah.
Okay. So that doesn't surprise me that your church could be an outlier because you're here. Yeah. Well, and the 1% is more like, and that's just an anecdote, 1%, but like the point is, it's Fourth Pres for us, it's Brick here, or Fifth Ave, or Madison Ave, whatever they are, Look, just because they don't doesn't mean you shouldn't. And that's super exceptional. But yeah, if the other thing is, if you can't or shouldn't have video in your sanctuary, that doesn't mean you can avoid good audio and lighting. You got to make sure that's good. Yeah, great. The other thing is, you probably have technology, I'm guessing, baked into every other aspect of your church.
As much as we can.
Sure, yeah.
Again, you're talking about historical buildings, so there's limitations. In as much as we can.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and
Externally, nothing's wired in the building.
okay, but that's a good word to remember, but we got just time-wise, but let's move on. But no, you're good. No, this is wonderful. I just mean, with wireless internet, there are lots of other options these days. Yeah, that used to be.
Keep updating.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and that's the mindset, right? Keep updating. And what context were you from?
Well, church in
Yeah.
is in rural Loveland, Ohio, in the middle of, when I first arrived there 14 years ago, the only thing that surrounded us was cornfields.
And where's Loveland, Ohio, right, approximately?
It's a northeast suburb of Cincinnati.
Okay. Yeah, so rural communities are wonderful and different. Part of it is, even though the individualism is present in a rural community, a sense of community drives it better. And so it is about the people far more in these kinds of things as well. Also, the expectations are different in a rural community, right? Do you have a Starbucks? Okay. That's also a really key indicator about your community is not typical. It may not be super unique, but if you have a Starbucks, you're not a unique snowflake. Starbucks only goes to places where they can sell coffee. If you
Downtown Loveland
uh-huh.
has a Starbucks, but not in rural.
Yeah, so you're unique.
Well, and great. Churches can grow of every kind, every size, and every place.
Town doesn't have to drive through.
Yeah.
You should have a drive-through at Ashland's, they just.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm fighting a freedom of speech ordinance in the city.
Sorry,
Whoa. Blessings on that. All right, fellowship spaces, very critical. If you're building a church from scratch these days, you're going to have equal amount of fellowship space, connection space, as you are worship space, one-to-one. Our churches are not one-to-one as well. They deepen relationships, right? They're perfect for events, and if you have a coffee hour, you need a space for this. This is ours. We are, again, blessed with... some of the founding members of our church 77 years ago made some incredible decisions in their master plan. They envisioned the parking from the get-go. They had this master plan that included this fellowship space that can do banquet seating for 160 people. We don't put tablecloths out for coffee hour every week, by the way, on the tables. This was in advance of our 75th anniversary celebration. Yeah, right. But this was our Monday, Thursday service last year. This was a product of the merger we had. They used to do a Monday, Thursday meal. And so we couldn't pull it off year one, but we said, hey, let's put it in the hopper for next year. And it's just the kind of stuff that you can do when you have a flexible space. It's like this, but this is a gym. Although there's no basketball hoop. Oh my God. Yeah. It's a gym floor, yeah. Mm-hmm. Next gen spaces, super critical for children and youth. It's also put up with a lot, but that changes when they are a parent or a grandparent. Or bringing an aunt or an uncle. I don't mean it to be exclusive, but just if they're bringing kids, their expectations shift dramatically. This is one of our Sunday school spaces. This room, my wife did redesign. She did do the cross on the wall, but most importantly, all she did in here was paint the walls. She did trim out the doors with some framing, and then, whoops, wrong way. We bought all that furniture is from Aldi. Okay, it gets used once a week, a little more, of course. It's a lower level Sunday school room. But because it's once a week or very little use, we were able to use Aldi furniture. Don't recommend that for main spaces, but for limited use, it works. This is our old historic chapel. We just renovated the floor as a part of our capital campaign. It had asbestos, and then we added this one corner of couches. It's one of our youth small group spaces. It's not quite as youthful as like some of our other spaces are. But it's a great space. Those couches are from Wayfair.com. Wayfair, you can get commercial grade furniture on Wayfair. It's like medium commercial. It's not like downtown commercial, but it will last a lot longer than you would think. And again, This space will probably get more longer use, perhaps, than our lobby. But our lobby looks almost like the day we opened it a couple years ago, because it's not just for show by any means, but you know how few people actually sit on the couches in your lobby. We do use it a lot, but just to say, right? This is another space. Those chairs were hand-me-downs, but they were good hand-me-downs. You can say no to bad hand-me-downs. Churches that were upright pianos go to die, and get rid of them. Nobody wants them. The couch came from Menards, but this is where we are blessed by Laura Erickson, who has an eye, and also the motto of the Ericksons is we can do it better for cheaper than anybody else. Our associate pastor loves it. Meeting spaces. Oh my goodness. Don't sleep on your meeting spaces. So critical. The return of your investment of time can be increased or decreased by the state of your meeting spaces. Okay. I remember the time where I was in our quote-unquote library, and I was so embarrassed by it the next day. I tore through it, cleared it out. I was told by somebody that I was going to get fired for doing this. I was like, I can't get fired, I'm installed. They were like, watch me. And then they quit, and I was right, okay? This table we got from the Presbytery office. They were downsizing, and one of the stupidest things I've ever done is a story I can tell you later, but we got this table. Conference tables are so much cheaper than you think. You can get a cheap set, a fine set, an inexpensive set on Wayfair for like $1,000 for your table and chairs. Now that might be a lot of money on some level. However, we've had these chairs now for 10 years, and it's only now time that we need to replace them because the cushions are a little worn out. Okay. And look how happy they are. All right? Yeah, and then also we had a whiteboard, a 65-inch TV on a cart, Apple Play or whatever. So we do all of our stuff like this. Every church, I was telling some Presbytery people, every church needs a good computer, a good tablet, multiple good computers, but at least one good computer, one tablet, and one 65-inch TV on a cart.
I can tell you a story about that.
Can I ask you a question?
Sorry, yeah, Carol, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This statement that you had about the return of time, can you say more about it?
Yeah. I have not always led good meetings. I still don't always lead good meetings, but we spend so much time in meetings. And if we are uncomfortable, cramped, or cluttered, we're not going to be good meeting participants. So it can be distracting, it can be uncomfortable as well. It exacerbates or accelerates whether a meeting's good or bad. That's one of the reasons why Zoom is so effective, is because in many ways, there's other problems with it, but because it laser focuses you in, and it removes all the distractions in many ways. You can see on the end here, again, not a great picture of this. I gotta take some better pictures. There's a mini fridge, a little hospitality counter, and we have a K-Cup machine and a microwave up there too. The other thing we do is we keep bottles of water, refillable bottles of water, in the fridge there, so that we can just grab those when we're in a meeting and don't have to disrupt and walk out or whatever. And we have a water fountain. We have a water fountain just literally outside the room. Okay, it's not hard, but it disrupts the meeting. We have their Trader Joe's sangria bottles, so they're like the ones you get at a restaurant with a little pop top on them, and we just refill them. We've got good, clean Lake Michigan water, the best water in the world, I think. Everywhere I go, I'm like, that water tastes like garbage. I'm like, here, it's Jersey. Okay. As well. Staff offices, don't sleep on, I said this earlier, don't sleep on your staff offices. You want your staff to be there. You want your members to feel comfortable reasonably. We spent a little bit of money on my office. We're about to spend some money on our associate's office. The only reason we have an associate is because of our endowment and our preschool revenue. And we're trying to keep it going with our event revenue as well. Multi-revenue stream, that's a whole workshop. But multi-revenue stream is really important. Okay, we're out of time. I'm just gonna say a quick couple things on that. Preschools, super high barrier to entry, very expensive, long-term goal, good. Co-working is another thing people pursue. Co-working, you don't make money on it, you break even at best. It's really good for building relationships, but co-working and preschools do not coexist well together. Event rentals is probably the quickest way to move forward. However, you got to have things going for you, and some of the barriers we've talked about are significant for that as well. Blessing the community with free space is a really good thing if you have zero expectations of a return on it. You don't get members from this. Okay. We have exactly 0 new members from the preschool. But you know what we do have? A catalytic leadership community, because we're still kicking. This is our main office. You can see it's this was before we did some more tidying up, but you know, it's a space that 90% of the time when somebody walks into, they don't go like, "Oh, it's chaos," as well. I wish I had pictures of my office. I didn't take good ones. I don't keep it as tidy as I should sometimes, but I also take most of my meetings in the library next door. Storage spaces, I alluded to this earlier. Volunteers, values volunteers. It makes serving simple, not easy. It's really important to have the right things in the right place, because the right thing in the wrong place is the wrong thing. And if it's not organized, they can't replenish it, they won't put it back. We're in the next steps of some of this stuff. We are going to literally have a schematic on every kitchen door cabinet. We're going to take down the storage spaces. We're going to limit what goes into each cabinet. And then everything else is going to be on a rack in a storage room nearby. And PW is going to get one cabinet in the back that they can do whatever the heck they want with. 'Cause I'm no fool. We're lucky to have an active, vibrant PW. Multiple circles, still do a rummage sale twice a year, programs as well. Outdoor spaces needs to be considered in terms of how that functions and how that goes. Highly different based on regions of the country. The South, it's inverse, and you can't be outside in the summer. We can't be outside in the winter in the Midwest. However, it's far more important in places with better weather. So just a heads up. Hey, Dom. All right. The other thing is we got to fly cost magnitude. You have to consider your renovations, and that's what Ross was saying earlier. Some things don't have a good ROI, and you got to understand that. You need to also understand all of this is part of the larger culture and systems of your church, and your facility may feel like the bottom growth barrier, but I'm going to tell you right now, your leadership is probably the first lid you need to look at. Fundraising. These are your categories: operating, reserve funds, special giving initiatives, and capital fundraising. Most of us need our reserve funds because there's our rainy day cash flow resource. You got to make sure you have enough cash around for a couple of months. You don't want to be scrimping on payroll, of course, but figure out if you have reserve funds that you can spend on some facility improvements, especially some of these almost free or inexpensive ones. Special giving is your first step. If you have a critical project that you need to get done that you don't want to pay for out of the reserves, you can cast a vision for those things. We did it 3 times. We're never doing it again. First was for audio. We did the Can You Hear Me Now initiative. I said, we're not using campaign. Okay, that's reserved for the future. So we did the Can You Hear Me Now initiative for audio renovations in our sanctuary. Then we did the I Can See Clearly Now initiative for video projection in our sanctuary. And yes, I was appealing to the senses of the past as well. Then we did our lounge renovation, and we had a matching gift for the audio. We had a lead gift for the video. We had no lead gifts for our lobby renovation. Our goal is 100,000. We only got 50. which is still a lot of money, but half the goal. Our session said we're doing it anyways because we want to get it done for the 75th anniversary, and for very forward-looking. I don't cherry pick people, but I do make sure we don't have any naysayers on our board, and we have a lot of challenging people, or not people that are challenging, people who will provide challenges. So it's not a bunch of yes, and actually they're the ones that doubled the budget. They wanted to use the bathrooms and add air conditioning. I said, let's do that later. They said, let's not do that later. Let's do that now. Super glad they did. But also we failed at our fundraising, which led to our capital campaign, which was the For Our Future campaign. This took many, many years. This, Ross, is for you. Many, many years before I was ready, okay? And we launched a $325,000 campaign. Worked with Horizon Stewardship, can't say enough about them. Wonderful. We ended up raising $410 in our first round of commitments, and it's gone up to $450 with our latest gift. We have privilege, we have means, we're a predominantly white congregation, plenty of discretionary income. These are true things, but there's a version of this that can be true for everybody. I'm going to say something that's a little harsh. If you can't raise capital, you're going to have a hard future, whatever level it needs to be. I will happily nuance that comment later for somebody, okay? But it's a value. It could be the special giving. If you can do special giving initiatives, that might be enough to move you along. But eventually, everybody needs to raise capital. I'm in conversations about how to make sure we can do these things equitably. There are really important conversations around that as well. I think Presbytery should pay for capital campaign consultants, at least for the assessment phase. Okay, maybe not for the whole scope, or have somebody on staff who can do a preliminary assessment. All right, we're out of time. We've also covered some questions along the way. You guys are amazing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the collegial, collaborative conversation and pushback. I love it. It's super important. I don't know everything. I'm just a pastor on TV, but it's my pleasure to be here.